Hello everyone and welcome to another stream by Black Hat Ethical Hacking live on Twitch. Hopefully everyone is having a great weekend. So we're back with a new client. This time we're gonna be looking, we just finished actually mail.ru. Took us like a few months because it was a really large scope. So we did submit several reports and now we have chosen a new one. And we're gonna be showing you how you can approach like a client when you're working on bounty, which is totally different than pen testing. It does require a different mindset and strategy. Before we start, the first thing you want to look at when you look at a client, so Airbnb is something that we'll be doing together. So first you gotta spend some time looking at the policy, and you have to understand which ones are the highest impact and which ones are like the lowest impact. So it's important to look at some of the things that they are displaying in their program. Bug bounty, recon scan on the specific main domain target. So we're going to copy this and it's time to start the project. So first we're going to create a project. We're going to give it 2 months. And we have to add the scope. So we have the scope. So this allows several teams to work together, splitting your work, like each team is going to be doing specific things. And now that we have all of the scope, we're just going to go with HackerOne and point the link in order to study anything that is needed. So we're going to save the project. And in here, as soon as we finish our nmap scan, we're going to import the XML result, and then we'll have all of the IP addresses and the services all here. So we're going to see this shortly. So it allows us to create issues, it allows us to create checklists and work. And now we're going to create a wiki page in order to explain the methodology on how we're approaching it. So recon technique methodology for the specific client. So we're going to copy this, which is the methodology. We're going to have it here. So now that we have the methodology, it's set up in our cloud and it's time to start the recon. So first we're going to follow this. And it's time to create folders and start Recon-ng to start our passive recon. So we're gonna launch the terminal. So Airbnb, we need a folder called domains. We need a folder called IPs because we're going to gather some IP addresses. We need a folder that's called URLs. And we can start Recon-ng in order to start our first recon process. So first we're going to create a workspace. So if you see from here, we have all of the workspace on everything we worked together on the previous. And now it's time to create a new workspace. So we're working on the main domain, which is Airbnb.com, and we have a star, means we can, everything is allowed. Okay, so Recon-ng, we're using specific APIs when we perform our recon, and it's important for you to configure it and add all of the APIs in order to maximize the results. So first we're gonna start by inserting a domain. And the domain is Airbnb.com. Now we're going to insert companies, Airbnb. Okay, so now everything is ready. And it's time to gather some subdomains. The more we get, the better. So we're gonna look for specific modules, and we're looking for hosts. Specifically, we want domains and hosts. This is what we need. So we're gonna load the first one. So first we're gonna use brute hosts, and we're gonna select a specific dictionary. So you see the word list here. We're gonna use another one that we have a custom. You can use sec lists as well. So under discovery, then DNS. And as you can see, we have our own word list. So if I get the specific one, you can see we have a specific pattern, which consists of a total of 2,280. So we're gonna get the specific location, and we're gonna change this into the specific one that we will be using. So options, set word list, and we're gonna give it the name of the specific one. So if I type options now, you can see that we have changed the word list to this one. We're gonna start the first scan, and this should start getting us some subdomains. As you can see, this is passive and it's not active, but we have APIs configured, and it goes through the list, and as you can see, everything that it finds, you see from here, it's finding, and it's gonna be adding them into a table. So it already found 198 new hosts. So if I type show hosts, you can see that it already found quite some within less than a minute. So we're gonna try to get more, and we're gonna go through all of these modules. So we use this one. We're gonna use built with. So each one is a specific module. So you see it uses built with, and we have an API in order to maximize the results. So it uses built with, and it's gonna try to gather more. So what's good about Recon NG is if it finds duplicates, it doesn't add them, and this is really important. So you don't have like duplicates, and now you have a total of 224. We're gonna continue and try to get more. So another 156. So 380 total. So we're going to use hacker target. So this is it. So at this point, as you can see, it's checking for domain takeovers, and we're going to let this run. As you can see, it's not using our resources because this specific attack or recon technique is running on the Raspberry. So this allows us to continue our workflow, and we're going to use Spiderfoot in order to check another tool called Spiderfoot in order to check specifically for S3 buckets. So in order to do this, we can prepare the command here, and all you have to do is provide the domain, which is airbnb.com. The way it's going to run Spiderfoot. It's going to launch a module which is specifically going to look for Azure, it's going to look for S3 buckets and DigitalOcean space. So it's three things in one. It's going to look for Amazon S3 buckets, DigitalOcean and Azure together. So we combine this one-liner command, And all you got to do is provide it with the domain here. And as soon as you press enter, it's going to launch the scan. And it's going to check if it finds anything. So within seconds, it didn't find any S3 buckets on this. And it's time to move into another tool, which will, one of the most important tools is to gather parameters. So we're going to use a tool called Param Spider. And the way to do it is you just provide it with the domain, which is airbnb.com. We exclude PNG, SVG, PHP, and JPEG results. And the way this works, it goes and connects to the Wayback Machine and gets URLs that already exist, which sometimes you could find like vulnerabilities that were fixed and help you understand how they were fixed, or oftentimes you can find links that are not supposed to be there, and it's gonna gather them for you. So now we're gonna save the results from Param Spider. We're gonna give it the location, which is Airbnb. And since we did not create a folder for params, we're gonna create it right now. So we created, it already exists. We're gonna confirm this. Okay, so now we have params, and now we're gonna save the results under params. We're gonna call it Airbnb params results.txt. So this is gonna run, and it's gonna try to gather a lot of URLs. So as you can see, within minutes, like sometimes on the offensive side, within minutes you can understand somebody else's infrastructure faster than they do. So within minutes, we already, like in an hour, we already have a very good view about the infrastructure of Airbnb, thanks to Recon, thanks to these kind of techniques. And this is very important when it comes to the offensive side. So another 2 minutes passed, and we already gathered 108,000 URLs. So all of these contain certain parameters, and this is what you're looking for. So as you can see, everything important here, because when it comes to parameters, then you can attack. And since you're dealing with 108,000 URLs and possibilities, this is where your Linux skill comes in, and we're going to be using things like sed in order to replace and work on this list. And it's time to perform JS scanner, which is gonna take a long time because we have a very huge list of URLs, but we're gonna go ahead and set it up and show you how it's gonna run. So this is one of the most important parts. So you're gonna download all of the JavaScripts from Airbnb onto your machine. So this tool is gonna go through all of the URLs. It's gonna use a specific pattern, and it's gonna look for JS files. It's gonna download the source files onto your machine, and it's gonna give you all of the URLs of all of the JavaScripts that run on Airbnb. So we're talking about possibly over 200,000-300,000 files will be downloaded. And why do we do this? This is because when you have these results, inside these thousands and hundreds and thousands of JavaScript files, you could find mistakes, you could find hard-coded credentials, you can find API keys, you can find locations, you can find a lot of things. And how do you do this? Especially when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of JavaScripts, you use techniques. You cat out all of the results, all of the TXT files containing all of the hundreds and thousands of results. You cat them out, and then you pipe them into GF, which is the one that we used earlier, and you specifically search for things. So you can run one command. This is gonna paste, it's gonna cat out all of the thousands of results of the JavaScripts. You can change the extension from TXT into JS. And then you're going to pipe the results, which is a huge load of lines, into GF, looking specifically using regex for API keys. You save the results and then you examine them later. So this is how you work, and this is one of the high-level bug bounty hunting when it comes to working with JavaScript, because you're actually working with large files, but you're using Linux and the power of the terminal and tools in order to speed up the process of specifically looking for something that you want to exploit. And this requires a lot of training from your side, because you have to read on how to work with API keys. You have to, if you're looking for SSRF, then you have to know how to exploit them. And this is the techniques on how to use them efficiently. So we're going to go ahead and use JS Scanner. We're going to launch a new terminal. So we're going to browse to the directory where we have the specific tool running. And we're going to show you how to use this specific tool. So first, it needs a txt file containing the URLs. So the URLs that we gathered earlier, we need to copy them into this file. So in order to do this, we're going to remove the existing file because we have other targets. We're going to create it again. And then we're going to cat out the URLs of Airbnb, the ones that we gathered. And we're going to save the results into alive. So if we cat alive, we have now all of the URLs ready. And now it's time to run this tool, and it's very simple. All you have to do is run script against alive.txt, which contains all of the URLs. And as you can see, it has started. So it's gonna go ahead and pick each URL. It's gonna scan for JavaScript using background pattern, and it's gonna save the results into a folder separately, each subdomain. So if we go to the location again, this is where the scanning is happening. And if we go here, you already see that it created a folder called JS Scanner Results. So if we go here, we have two files, JS, JavaScript, and DB for database. So if we go to JavaScript, for each specific one that is scanned, it creates a folder, and it puts inside the JavaScripts that it's downloading. In order to see this, all you have to do is type 3, and 3 is gonna tell you that it has already 12 files containing JavaScript. So this means inside here, inside each folder, inside each directory, there is a file called raw. So if I cat out this command, this is gonna cat out all of the raw files that it got. So if you do this, then when you cat out all of the contents of the JavaScript, you pipe them into GF, and then you choose what you want to look for. So before we do this, first we have to fix GF, and now we're gonna rerun cat. So we're gonna pipe them into GF. Now we choose, we're gonna zoom in, we choose what you want to look specifically in the JavaScripts for. So for example, if you want to look for MailChimp keys or S3 buckets or redirect, earlier we talked about redirect. So then you give it redirect, and this gives you like a list of potential redirects of the specific target that you can save, and then you can test them for redirect at a later stage. So this is going to go through a lot of URLs. It's going to download all of the JavaScripts into the folders here. It's going to take time, and everything as soon as is done, we upload them to the cloud. Then you can save your work and continue another day, because when you perform like hardcore recon and spend time using energy, especially on the recon, which is one of the most important stages, you need to have a specific environment that you can save everything, and the team, if you have a team, they can work and find things easier, and then you can create issues, you can create checklists and start performing. So when this starts, this is just the beginning. Obviously, it's important to run tools like Nuclei as well, JLS, and try to find easier low-hanging fruits. So this way, you have to have a system and a methodology and speed, and work smartly on these in order to try to find a bug, submit it, and get a lot of rewards, as you can see from here, which could help you work on a full time when it comes to bounty hunting. So this comes to an end. We're going to let this run through. We're going to see you next week as well with a new tool, methodology, and every Sunday on bounty. So we're glad to see you here.